Hello everyone, this is another module of ecosystem studies. In this module, we are going to study how the ecosystem stabilizes itself in space and time. Ecosystem, as we know, they are the units of Earth's surface taking along the organism and its natural environment. We are going to study in this module how the ecosystem stabilizes its state of dynamics and maintains a homeostasis condition. The learning objectives of this module are ecosystem, space, time and interconnectedness, conceptual model of ecosystem dynamics, flow of nutrients, ecosystem stability and cybernetics, and resistance and resilience of an ecosystem. Introduction to ecosystem stability in space and time. In studying ecosystems, two attributes are of fundamental significance to their structure and function via the dimensions of space and time and interconnectedness of ecosystems and interrelatedness of ecosystems. Ecosystems occur in space and exist in time. Hence, consideration of spatial as well as temporal scale in ecological studies holds fundamental importance. Consideration of these dimensional attributes is highly significant as ecosystem dynamics is a product of ecosystem processes occurring at a spatial as well as temporal scale. As relationships between individual species are dynamic, so is the overall makeup of an ecosystem. A conceptual model of ecosystem dynamics in space and time, elucidating interrelations of an ecosystem with its other ecosystems, has been discussed. Change is a constant process in ecosystems, driven by natural forces that include natural disturbances, nutrient cycling, species movement, climatic shifts, ecological successions, etc., and the human induced changes. Since each component of an ecosystem is connected through complex relationships, it is not easy to anticipate the effect of a factor in particular or a group of factors on an ecosystem as a whole. However, we can improve our ability to predict responses of ecosystems to a particular environmental change in space and time by study of ecosystem processes in relation to other interconnected ecosystems. For instance, let us discuss in brief how changes in forest cover affect ecosystem functioning over space and time. Forest cover estimated in an undisturbed forest at a certain time would depict figures very different from when it is subjected to any disturbance over time. To exemplify, road construction, human-led disturbances in a forest would lead to a heavy deforestation in a way leading to significant alteration in forest cover. Changes in forest cover would further affect important ecosystem processes and interactions leading to susceptibility for risk of invasion, biodiversity loss and atmospheric changes. Interconnectedness of ecosystems. Although spatial extent of ecosystems is real, precise delimitation of ecosystem boundary is arbitrary, for one ecosystem is intricately linked with other ecosystems. An ecosystem is a functional system which is balanced condition, is self-sufficient and self-regulated, still it is not considered a sharply discrete entity. The central theme of ecosystem concept itself highlights that there is a continuous interaction between biotic and abiotic factors as interacting components of a single integrated system as a whole. In an ecological system, often smaller ecosystems make a larger ecosystem. Flows of energy and nutrients in and out of ecosystems cross boundaries between ecosystems and connect them together. Aggregation of all ecosystems on Earth is often referred as the ecosphere. An example to appreciate how many ecosystems are interconnected is shown in the figure. For instance, salmon live in different ecosystems over the course of their lives. Salmon are born in small stream ecosystems. When they grow, they swim downwards, moving out of small streams into larger streams and eventually into large rivers. They then move out of freshwater ecosystems and move into estuaries, which have a mix of fresh and salt water. They may spend a year or two in estuary ecosystem before swimming out to the open ocean or another ecosystem. After feeding and growing for a couple of years in the ocean, they retrace their journey back to the small stream where they were born, and then they breed and die. In this way, salmon connect streams with the ocean. Young salmon connect small stream ecosystems to large rivers, estuaries and ocean where they may provide energy and nutrients to predators. On their return, adult salmon transfer energy and nutrients gained from ocean ecosystems back into small streams. In the above discussed example of salmon moving energy and nutrients among ecosystems, other organisms may benefit. Further, the river and stream ecosystems are intricately linked to neighboring forests, where from other organisms also get forest produce. The coin has other side too. Sometimes such connections among ecosystems may have negative consequences too. For example, humans export raw material for manufacturing goods from natural ecosystems. The furnished goods produced such as cars and airplanes used for transportation may have far-reaching consequences for other ecosystems. For instance, pollutants released from vehicular exhaust in the atmosphere may affect functioning of other ecosystems. Ecosystem stability and cybernetics. An ecosystem can be considered a set of interdependent subsystems at heterogeneous spatial and temporal scales. While evaluating ecosystem functioning, it is important to know whether an ecosystem is in a state of change or it's stable. In an ecosystem, there is always a natural tendency for counteraction within a certain range of fluctuation in the environment in order to maintain its functional balance. Ecosystems are considered to be self-sufficient entities with a self-regulatory mechanism of checks and balances called as homeostasis. For instance, in a balanced ecosystem, perfect balance maintained between levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide in air supports life, while any significant fluctuation in proportion of plants and animals population tends to disturb this balance. Homeostasis refers to the tendency of the ecosystem to resist changes and remain in a state of equilibrium. Cybernetics or science of control aids in understanding homeostasis in context of ecosystems and is largely dependent on feedback mechanisms. Both positive and negative cybernetic feedbacks operate in ecosystems. For example, in a balanced population, predator, that is a lion, feeds on and reduces the prey, that is for example deer, population. This situation illustrates the interaction of predator with its prey through a negative feedback. However, the prey population regulates the predator population by virtue of its composition in number, which illustrates a positive feedback mechanism operating between the two populations. Such positive and negative feedbacks strive a balance to maintain an equilibrium condition. Cybernetic feedbacks in an ecosystem. In this figure, we can see an open system in a constant exchange of energy. In figure B and C, we see a cybernetic system showing negative feedback control. In a cybernetic system, the emphasis of an ecosystem stability is shown. Ecosystem stability can be understood in context of resistance and resilience according to Holling in 1973. The resistance implies the ability of a system to resist the forces that tend to disrupt its state of equilibrium. On the other hand, resilience is the ease with which the system returns to its original equilibrium state following any disturbance. A forest ecosystem example with large biotic structure may better resist a fire outbreak than a grassland ecosystem with smaller biotic structure. Nevertheless, burnt grassland can quickly recover to its original state than a burnt forest that may take hundreds of years to recover, as shown in the figure. This slide shows the resistance and resilience stability of an ecosystem. The deviation from normal ecosystem functioning range is resistance stability, and the time required to recover to normal ecosystem function is resilience stability. To summarize, we have studied like how an ecosystem stabilizes itself in space and time. Ecosystem shares its boundary between other ecosystems, maintaining its state of homeostasis, being dynamic in nature. Thank you.